Boy, oh boy, closing bell rings. Another great day comes to an end. Hope you guys had a fantastic day out there, but it's time to get back to work. It's about that time of day again here. Thursday evening, it's April the 8th, 2021. My name is Joseph, and as always, welcome back to your nightly newsletter. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time tonight, it's great to have you with me because my job tonight is to get us ready to capitalize on whatever happens, right? Find the best setups for Friday's trading session. I got a great video in store for you guys tonight. Charts are already in the background, as you can see. Got the E-mini S&P. Got the NASDAQ, and of course we got that gold on our radar for tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, end of the week, so we get a smaller window of opportunity. We get probably the biggest news of the week is tomorrow morning. Get ready for that here in this video tonight. And of course, look at these big moves higher here. Who could have ever seen this bull breakout coming, right? And all kidding aside with you, nice big moves going higher, right? E-mini S&P breaking out higher, NASDAQ breaking out higher, gold, of course, breaking out higher. Here's the big question, though, as we go into Friday's trading session. Is now a good time to get long, right? You ready to buy? I want to put everything on the buy side up here. What do you think? Is this a good time to get long on this? Markets are clearly bullish right now. Do you think it's a good idea to be placing those buy orders and buying this thing as it goes higher? I don't know about that. I think the easier money for tomorrow, and I know, we're all very bullish right now. The trend is up right now, but I'll tell you, lots of overhead resistance, lots of what appear to be overextended moves right now. One of my favorite setups for tomorrow is going to be getting to the short side here, trying to go right back where we came from. So I've got my eyes on a couple different short setups for tomorrow. We'll talk about those in this video tonight. And of course, we'll talk about how to follow this trend if we do get the clues we need to keep this party going into the Friday trading session. So we're talking long side, we're talking short side. That's where the easier money is tomorrow morning. And I'll cover all the details here tonight on this video. Before we jump in, though, and get our hands dirty, I just want to make sure to remind you guys, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel because we publish this newsletter with our best trade ideas every evening. So make sure you join us on our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you always get notified every time I publish something new. And if you have any questions for me, don't forget, I love to answer questions. Drop those questions for me in the comment section. And if you guys enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it, if you like this video content on this YouTube channel, do me a big favor, do me a solid, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button for me. Thank you so much for subscribing, hitting that thumbs up, and post those comments if you guys have any questions along the way. But enough of the intro. Time is ticking. Friday is right around the corner. Boy, this second week of the month is flying right by. Boy, what a great week it's been. What a great week it's been. It's been a bit slower, right? Again, second week is kind of expected to be like that. But I'll tell you, we have found some really great setups in our trade room here this week. It's been great to have you guys all with us in the morning session, in the morning trade room. But let's see what we got here. S&P is ready. NASDAQ is ready. Gold is ready. Everything's bullish, right? I mean, it's not, you probably don't need me to tell you right now, right? S&P's bullish. NASDAQ is bullish. Gold is bullish, but here's the problem, though, right? Yeah, we're very bullish right now, but we had a range on the S&P, right? Bull breakout into levels of resistance. Range on the NASDAQ, right? Bull breakout into a level of resistance. You see the pattern going on here? Range on the gold, right? Breakout, into couple levels of resistance. I don't know about you, but this is the last place I want looking to get long right now. Now, again, I'm not going to abandon the buy side. That'd be foolish because we're obviously very bullish right now. There are going to be some potential buy setups here for tomorrow, but as I mentioned in the intro, I would love to short this thing back down, right? Short this sucker, right, back down into these trading ranges. I got a couple really nice setups I'm watching here for tomorrow. Now, speaking of tomorrow, got some big news on the schedule tomorrow morning. Pretty much the only big news we've had all week, right? Second week of the month is always expected to be a little bit of a quieter week here. The last big news report we had was that ISM number on Monday. Now here we are on Friday morning, tomorrow morning, 8:30 Eastern time is pretty much the only news. It's the big news. Remember PPI, CPI, any of those acronyms, right? PPI, the ISM report was earlier on this week, right? Anytime we get those acronyms, they usually They usually mean business in the markets. That's a really good sign, too. Tomorrow morning, 8:30 Eastern Time. We get the PPI number tomorrow morning to kickstart the Friday trading session. So you're going to want to be at your desk earlier than later on a Friday. Don't forget, Friday mornings are known for being early in, early out. You know, what I always do is I always set an alarm clock on Friday morning for about 10:45 Eastern Time on Friday. At 10:45 Eastern Time, if we're not seeing good price action and if I'm not in a good mindset, you know, that's a lot of what Fridays are all about, is the market gets exhausted towards 11 o'clock and the people who are trading it are exhausted, right? So we tend to be a little more loose on our rules, right, as we go into 11 o'clock, especially if you're well in the green on the week. One of our biggest challenges after 11 o'clock on a Friday is not giving back all the money that we've made so far this week, right? So big thing for tomorrow, PPI number at 8:30, be there early tomorrow. And, you know, again, take a moment, set the alarm clock tomorrow for 10:45 Eastern Time. And if we're not getting good price action, if we're not seeing good price action, and if we're not feeling good, right, disciplined mindset there, that's your time to walk away from the casino, right? We'll come back and we'll do it next week, right? So Fridays are not the days of pushing it late in the day because the markets aren't great to trade late in the day on a Friday. The markets get more grindy, more whippy, more risk tolerant, and we are not really our sharpest, right? We're not the sharpest knife in the shed after 11 o'clock on a Friday either. So make that money early with us tomorrow morning. Don't forget, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we're going to trade this stuff together. I'll put all the membership links you guys need, the description of the YouTube video. Let's jump right in, though. You guys on the plan here for tomorrow. Big news, 8:30. Again, early in, early out. Be careful pushing the envelope late in the day on Friday because we are normally not at our sharpest. All right, got the S&P, got the NASDAQ, got the gold. Everything is bullish. And I'm saying we should what? We should short this thing tomorrow? Yeah, maybe if we can get some good action on it. So let's take a look at the S&P right now. S&P is obviously very bullish. Now remember, we had that big range, right? That big range from earlier on this week. We talked about why we thought we would get that breakout. Boy, I thought we'd get this thing all the way back into that trading range, right? We had that nice 1, 2, 3 reversal into hidden channel pullback, right? I mean, I thought we had this thing. I thought we had this thing rolling lower. I was very impressed by these buyers. They were able to hold back this tide here and rip this thing running higher here. So, you know, if I was to describe what's happening here, let me get rid of this here real quickly. If somebody asked me what happened on the S&P today, I would say we had a strong breakout to begin the session. We had what looked to be a dead in the water reversal back into that range, but miraculously they pulled it out and blasted back up, not only to retest the highs, because, you know, anytime we see a strong move in one direction, we usually get a retest, right, of that high here, unless, of course, you get that 1, 2, 3 reversal like I mentioned earlier. So basically what's happened right now is we've got the buyers right now pushing through those highs and really pushing through those highs on some pretty good strength, right? On some pretty good strength here. So here's the challenge though, right? Here's the challenge. I can't buy way up here, right? I don't want to buy way up here. You got the round number, right? That'll be some resistance. You get that measured move. This whole area up here is just, it's very difficult to want to buy up here because if I buy here, I could easily get a pullback all the way down, right? I mean, my stop, put it this way, my stop would have to be somewhere down here. And that means I'm going to have to risk all of that, right, for just that little reward. And okay, maybe it goes up to that 41.12, right? Maybe, you know, again, that's been a level I've been watching here all week. That's kind of the big target for those bulls right now. But again, you know, that's a lot of risk. Okay, you know, it's almost a 1-to-1 right there. Not horrible, but that's asking a lot, right? That's asking this market to keep going through the round number, going through the measured move without giving us a deep pullback. There's a lot to ask right now to buy high up here. So not a big fan of buying high. I would much rather get short and use this trading range, right? This range that kind of, you know, stumbled together here today. I would rather use that range as a magnet, that range as a magnet. I think the easier money is going to be the short side here. Now, we may not get that, right? I may not get what I want tomorrow, but that's where I'll be looking for. Now, Couple different ways I'm looking to get short right now. It's a bull market. Okay, that's the most important thing here. It's a bull market, so I can't just go trying to call a top in this market right now. I have to wait for a good looking signal. So what I'm looking for here is looking for the buyers to kind of choke up a little bit on this next pullback. When we get the next pullback here, I would imagine you're going to see a lot of buyers here trying to come in and buy the low of this channel, right? That prior swing high. So that's kind of where I want to start seeing these buyers come in. Here's a couple things I'm looking for. My favorite setup for tomorrow, if I have it my way, to sell short on this, would be to wait for the buyers to come back, try once, try twice, and then short this thing back down into that trading range. Now, there's a couple different ways I can do this, right? I can draw a trend line off that low, off that high, and I can short that top. Okay, I could also look for a trap above this high. That would probably be the best possible scenario, right? Trap above that high. I can also look for the short if we were to get, let's say, like we saw back here, we got that 1, 2, 3 reversal, mark the low, mark the high, right? I can grab that for the short as well, right? So if we go up, let's say, for example, we come back to the moving average, the market really rolls over now, right? I can mark that high, I can mark up that high, and I can sell short, right, off of that high as well. Now, keep in mind, when we get those like reversal patterns, right, as I'm talking about here, right, these 1, 2, 3 reversals, I'm not just blindly selling the top of that channel, right? What I look for in this is I drill down to a faster time frame, like a 1,000 tick or a 1,500 tick chart. And what I look for is I look for entry triggers like bull traps, right? Like buyer failures. And then oftentimes those buyer failures will go up, they'll fail, and they'll collapse. That turns into pullback entries and strength moves on the way back down. So again, going over some basics here of how I'd like to get short on this. I'm not going to go over all the specific entry triggers like these traps, failures, pullbacks, and strength, but I will go over all those smaller details in our free trading course. So if you haven't done so already, grab that. I'll put a little pop-up there for you. If you want to learn the specific entry triggers that we use in our trade room, and you'll learn a whole lot more about our favorite trading strategy. I call it the 3-step strategy. But again, right, if we do get that one try and then really run lower and I get that trend line coming down, right? Again, I'm not just blindly selling off of that high, right? I'm looking for, bull traps, buyer failures into pullback combinations and strength moves, right, as we go back down. Again, you can check out that free course link in the upper right-hand corner to get the details on those entry triggers. And then if we do get this reversal, remember the range is the magnet, but you can also go out and measure the amount above the range, bring that down below the range, right? And those make for some great final exits. Now, tomorrow's a Friday. And one thing about a Friday is sometimes the markets love to just grind. We call them zombie markets in our trade room, right? Sometimes the market will, you'll get short up here, right? And it will just slowly grind and grind and grind and grind, right? So if you can get into that thing short, not a bad idea to leave a final target, maybe into the close here, if we can grab this sucker off the high. So that would be something I'm looking for here to get short. And this would also apply, right? If we go up, take out that measured move, 1, 2, you know what I mean? This will all still apply here, even if we do get this price to go higher here. It's just there's not a lot of space up here, right? The risk-reward ratio is not very good. Now, I know you're wondering right now, okay, so that's the short side. How do we buy this market? There are two kind of scenarios, right, I would look for to get long on this. My biggest concern is I'm way too high. Well, obviously that's my opinion, right? The market may disagree with me on this. It may keep going higher. We are, again, I saw this strong run higher, right? They break out or they pull back and they go to the high here. That's a really good look. It's a really strong move, but we see a lot of times where the market will go through a high and come right back down, right back in again, right? So I'm not totally convinced yet these buyers are going to be able to hold this high. So that's one of the key components. The buyers can really make our job easier tomorrow if they start going sideways up here, right? Almost like we saw back here. Well, not really. It's more like we saw back here, right? We want to see something like this tomorrow, right? If we can see something like this, where we have the bull market up and then into a range up here, I can pick these bottoms, right? I can buy these lows. These are really these are easy money trades down here, right? So if I can get this market to run and then start going sideways up here, overnight into tomorrow morning's trading session, if we can get a couple hours worth of sideways price action, what that will do is that will kind of put a stamp of approval that these buyers are holding these lofty highs. Once that's the case, now I can wait for pullbacks. I can look for what I call failure patterns, right? And I can buy basically using stop losses, right, for the fuel, right, going higher. I can pick the bottoms off the low of that range. So that would be probably the easiest possible way for us to be a buyer here tomorrow. So imagine for a moment now, we go up, and again, this could be around the round number. It could be at the measured move. It really could be, right? We might see one more big green candle go up, and then we start going sideways up here. Again, I'm not saying we can't go higher. I'm just saying the easier money is going to be either shorting this thing or waiting for one of these kind of two situations. So let's say, for example, we see a bull market here. A range bound market here. If we can get this thing going sideways, this is really easy pickings, because now what we can do is we can use that prior high as a key level of support, and we can use that level of support, which is always the secret to a range. Whenever we see a range bound market, the range acts as a magnet. If we're bullish into a range, you want to find levels of support underneath the trading range, and you want to use those levels of support in combination with wait for the price to pull back to support, wait for sellers to try to get short off the moving average, and just simply buy into those stop losses. If you watch this video every evening, I'm not a big fan of trying to pick the bottom of a move. It's a rookie game. Oftentimes, you'll see the market go lower. You'll try to pick a bottom on it. Your stop goes below that low. What happens is it rolls over, stops you out, and then goes higher. Right? The easiest way to avoid that kind of stop and run is not to even try to predict that bottom. And that's what I'm trying to do here with my failure setup. So that's going to be probably the easiest way to get long on this tomorrow is if they can give us kind of a gift and go sideways up here. Again, this could be here. It could be here. It doesn't really matter. It's just we're up at major areas of resistance right now. And I want to make sure I see that market go sideways. Now, the next question is, how do I buy a pullback? Okay, pullbacks are the pullback on this is probably the most difficult way to trade this. I've got some great level support, right? Got some great areas of support here. Here's the problem though. When we get that pullback, right, it's going to probably come right back. We'll see how far it goes in the overnight here, but kind of the ideal scenario here for a pullback for me would be, let's get underneath, and I know it sounds crazy, right? Let's get a really deep pullback. Let's get these bears now coming in and try to short this thing back down in. Okay, when you have a market that goes this far up in the air like this, or this far higher here, you're going to have a hard time getting people excited about buying up here, right? You're going to have a hard time convincing a professional, right? Not a rookie. Rookies will buy high because that's what we do as rookies, right? We eventually learn from those mistakes and we like to buy low. There's no professionals. There's no market makers. There's no big whales that are looking at this going, oh, yeah, get me in up here, right? We have to sweeten the deal, right? So we got to get a pullback on this. We got to get a lower price. So first things first is I want to get a lower price, right? I want to see a nice deep pullback. When we get that deep pullback, though, it is likely going to put us somewhere underneath this high. And the minute we go underneath that high is the minute bears are going to probably try to come in and take this thing back into that range for the reasons I've already discussed, right? It's just it's a better risk reward ratio with the right entry, right? So that's kind of the idea here. The idea here is we have to sweeten the deal for the buyers, give them a reason to get excited, and then if I had it my way tomorrow, I would get those bears to get caught getting short here, right? Let them try a couple times and use those stops as fuel going higher. This could be a pretty ugly setup, right? This could be pretty ugly here, again, as there's kind of a fist fight that breaks out at that high here. But again, I'll be looking for the bears, give them one try, give them two try, and then light them up. Right? Just simply buy right into those stop losses. And then keep in mind too, oftentimes these moves will really run and you can draw a trend line off that high, a trend line off that low, and you can hit it again, right? Hit it again then with a failure into pullback combination. So those will be the easiest ways here to, well, again, this is probably not going to be the easiest, but it will take some patience. And, again, I go over these failures and these pullback setups in a lot more detail in that free trading course. So make sure you grab that link I mentioned in the upper right-hand corner there if you want to get more of a deeper dive into those pattern setups. So I would love to short this market, but we'll see what happens, right? Maybe it gives a deep pullback, right? Again, deep pullback, get those bears once, bears twice, and rip it higher here. Or again, the easier thing would be get this thing going sideways here, right, as we go. Again, it doesn't matter if we go higher here, right? Now, I would say, let's say, for example, the market really blasts higher, right? If it really blasts higher, I would consider, if we had enough strength going higher here, looking for a 2-try trap. But as you can imagine, though, a strong run higher here is very suspicious. A 2-try trap would probably be the best possible entry if the market really does blast higher here. We'll have to wait and see how the personality looks on that, because there is that big objective at 41.12 overhead here. If I do see a strong run, a shallow pullback, and a higher high, that trap low will be a valid setup. It'll probably be one of those trades where you got to go a half size position, right? A third size position. You're not going to put in your whole boat, your whole account on that one. But again, on the way up to that 41.12. We'll wait and see how the personality looks tomorrow morning once we get in there, and we'll see if we get those shorts here off the high. S&P looking really good. Love the S&P here for tomorrow. And again, get to it early. How about the NASDAQ right now? How about some NASDAQ? So NASDAQ's in a very similar situation. We're talking about, as I mentioned last night, something is wrong if we don't get this big breakout. So we definitely were on the right track last night. We anticipated this big breakout. And see what's going on right now? They got that big breakout going higher. We still have that big range down there, of course, as you guys will recall, right? That range still acting as a price magnet. That's a big bull market up, right? Big bull run up into a trading range. Now, we know from the previous chart, right? We like to pick the bottoms below that trading range, and you can see they barely got any pullback at all here today. Now, I'm sure a lot of this has to do with a little bit of sympathy. The S&P's at all-time highs. NASDAQ hasn't quite made it back up to all-time highs. So it looks like the NASDAQ might be playing a little bit of, follow the leader here as it's pushing higher. Because, again, you would think with that trading range and just that mess of a chart here today, you would have thought we'd at least get underneath that low, right? Take out some lows, get some bears coming in. And by the way, this is exactly what we'd like to see on the S&P tomorrow, right? This little scenario here where you're buying underneath that range, that's exactly what you'd hope for on the S&P here tomorrow, right? If we do go sideways here in the overnight. So you'll notice we never got that chance to buy low, right? We never got the chance here to really buy very low here on the NASDAQ. That is a really, really big clue, because if you're a buyer right now and you're seeing this move going higher here right now, what do you think? You weren't able to get long on the chance to get right to buy low. Are you really going to buy up here now? Well, you might if you think the market's going to go back to all-time highs, right? You might look at this and say, well, my stop's down here. There's my risk. There's my reward. It's not horrible, right? Because if you buy way up here right now, your stop, the only way you can protect yourself, you can't use a little, 50-tick stop of the NASDAQ here. Your stop is dead. Your stop is dead in the water if you keep a tight stop right now. It's one of the big problems with buying high. When you buy high, in order for you to protect yourself from any shallow pullbacks, you've got to park that stop loss down below a major low down here. And with that size stop loss, you better have, right, some reward that you expect. So I can see it, right? I can see this a one-to-one. Not exactly my style of trading, but I can definitely see how some folks might say, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth a shot on that. But I would be surprised if the majority of traders thought the same way of that. So we get this big breakout, right? Market breaks higher here. Very, very difficult to justify being a buyer up here. We talked about this last night, right? On a range, there are two types of breakout patterns I look for. Right, there's that 1, 2, 3 breakout. mark the high, mark the low, buy that first pullback, right? First test is the best test. Okay, remember, we're not simply buying, right, that breakout. We're waiting for that 1, 2, 3 breakout higher, and we're looking for, what were they called again? Yeah, bear traps, seller failures, into pullback combinations, into strength moves going higher, right? Those are the entry triggers I would look for here, right, to buy. Again, if they can hold it, right? If they can hold this pullback and go, I would have no problem here looking for a good entry setup on the low of that channel. And again, I'm not going to go over all these specific entry triggers, but you can definitely, I cover all the entry triggers. I cover almost everything we do in our trade, and I cover it all in that free trading course linked up in the upper right-hand corner. So if you want to learn the specific entry triggers and I'll send you hundreds of examples of how we apply those setups to our favorite futures market. So definitely grab that link in the upper right-hand corner there. That's one. Right? That's one. So we go up, we pull back, and we go higher. 1, 2, 3 breakout, right, into hidden channel pullback. The second breakout pattern is called a 2-try breakout. Now, this one's got to go. It's got to give me a shallow pullback and a higher high in price. Okay? So this one's a little bit different. This one isn't a 1, 2 go. This one is a strong move up, a shallow pullback, and a higher high in price. That would be the second breakout pattern, right? We talked about that last night on the newsletter, right? So that will be another scenario where I would be convinced to keep buying up here, right? But how do we sell this thing now? How do I sell it? Because I think that's the easier money on this NASDAQ. Well, you'll notice we got the measured move up here. And you'll notice here, I'm drawing this channel off the lows, off the highs, and we're just barely poking our heads to that high. If I had it my way tomorrow, my favorite setup for tomorrow would be take out the measured move or not. It doesn't really matter to me. Get those buyers trying once, get those buyers trying twice. And again, I can draw a trend line off that low, up around that high, and short that high. I can look for a trap above that high, right? Short that trap. Any one of those, right, will work. Sometimes, of course, the market will simply 1, 2 go, right? I can mark up that low, mark up that high, and I can sell short off the high of that new channel, right? And then don't forget, if we can get into one of these shorts, measure the amount above, the amount below, right? Take some profit off, of course, at the low of that channel, but don't be afraid to leave that little piece of the position open in case things really get good on the other side, right? So very, very likely there, as we go higher, we may get lucky for one of these reversal setups, right? So again, buyers have control. We don't want to buy up here. I could be convinced to be a buyer up here, right? I definitely could. If they can pull back, hold, and go, right, off the moving average, I'd be more than happy to be a buyer up here. Just mark up that high, mark up that low, and I want the first test is always the best test, right? Failure pattern, bear trap setup, right? Pullback combination coming off of that low, or it's that strong move up, shallow pullback, higher high, right? And of course that, right, trap low. And then as always, right, don't forget bonus points if you can combine that high of that channel, right, with a low or that new channel here with that trap entry. So we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. Or, right, if the trading gods are listening in right now, right, get those buyers trying once, get them trying twice, right, and shorten this thing back in. If we do go into the range here, though, right, if we do go back into the range here, this will look very bearish. So remember, how do you trade a bear market with range? Find a level of resistance, right? Find a level of resistance above the range. Wait for the pop. Do not buy that sucker. No, ranges are magnets. Wait for those buyers to commit. Let them get long on the pullback and hit them right where it hurts, right? That's some of the easiest money you'll ever make in a range ball market. Wait for the breakout. Wait for the breakout pullback, traders, and look to short right into those stop losses. Use that pendulum swing, right, as a good target on the opposite side. So now we know how to buy it as we're going higher. Now we know I would like to sell this thing as we're going lower. Maybe we go sideways up here, right? You guys have a pretty good plan of attack on that already. I talked about that on the S&P, so that same strategy will apply here on the NASDAQ. Looking good. NASDAQ's pretty good here for tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about this. Again, I'd love to get shorts off these highs here. How about some gold? How about some gold here wrapping things up? Boy, what a strong breakaway move here on the gold. There's just one problem. We are sitting at a lot of resistance here up overhead. Now, I mentioned this in last night's newsletter. We've got this monster. Look at this chart here. Look at this chart right now, right? So we basically have, we're right at this big top, right? We're right at the big top up here, major resistance. And right below us, there's that big, juicy, right, just warm and cuddly trading range where it's just all safe, right, and we can just hang out there all day. That trading range is a big, big magnet underneath us. Now, we're obviously bullish. You know, you can look at the chart yourself. You can easily see this is a bull market. So, you know, we're definitely bullish here, but we're in a very enticing area right now to look for some short sides here. Definitely not the place where I would like to get long. This is definitely not where I would like to get long. I've got my measured move, of course, right, going higher here. That measured move puts us in a very difficult spot when you combine that with that major top that I showed you before. Probably the only one more thing here. If you recall, in last night's newsletter, we had this triangle, if you recall, and I talked about how you can take this triangle low and project it higher, and you can see look at that, right where we are right now. So is it possible? This thing might just simply rotate back and forth? Definitely possible. And that would really be kind of how I'd like to trade this on the gold tomorrow. I'd like to see if I could short this thing and then maybe buy it back up, right, as it rotates back and forth here. Don't want to buy here, right? I want to buy here. Probably the only saving grace we can see is this trading range, right? Trading range is just getting started right now. So if this range ends up, you know, kind of like we saw on the S&P earlier, the best thing for the buyers right now is if this thing can just keep going sideways here. Really, the ideal scenario for the buyers would be if they can tread water here long enough to get the low of this channel in place. Right? You got that low, you got that swing. If we can go sideways here for a while and then get that pullback, you know, down to some support levels down here, get those bears to get short, right, on the pullback here, that would be a great trade, right? Now, obviously, that may not come until later in the morning tomorrow, right? So we'll have to wait and see on that, but that's kind of some food for thought there, right? If they do start to cruise sideways here, that will kind of eliminate the option for a short trade and give us a chance to buy off of support levels with those failure patterns, right? Those failure setups, which I cover, right, in our trading classes. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That's probably the best possible scenario the buyers could ask for. What I would love to get, if I got it my way tomorrow, if the trading gods said, all right, Joe, what do you want for Friday? I would say, give me a short off the high, and then let me buy it right back up. Now, Easier said than done, right? Hell of a bull market right now, lots of momentum, and this range acts as a magnet. So my first priority is let's get these buyers wrapped in the wrong side of the market, right? Let's get these buyers trying once, get these buyers trying twice. Let's get that trend line over, right, and short that trend line. Let's get that trap high, right, and short that trap high. One of those, again, same basic reversal setups that I've talked about here so much already on this video. So that would be pretty easy. I would also be willing, of course, to go 1, 2, 3. And if I can thread the needle, I don't mind selling off the top of that channel. It's just obviously we may not have, you know, if it runs back down like that, right, this will be a little bit less reliable, right? What I'd like to do is get this thing to 1, 2, back down again, run into the low of that channel, and then at this point now, watch and see what happens, right? If we really get lucky, we'll get that short off the high up here with one of those nested failure patterns, right? We'll take our first profit target, take a small piece off the trend line, and go all the way back down into that trading range, right? We may not even have the ability to get long. What is an option I'm watching would be, can we get 1, 2 back down to that low? And now as that moving average comes over, get those bears now trying once, get those bears now trying twice, right? So you can play this on both sides. Now, I know this is a lot of patience is needed for this. It will take some patience on this because you're going to play both sides of it. But you can see in these situations, though, there's no reason why you couldn't play both sides. There's no reason why you can't short that, right, that nested failure, and then give those bears as they run into these lows, as they run into these support areas, right? Give these bears 2 chances to kind of dig their own grave and then hit them right back where it hurts again, right? So by that failure, remember what we're doing here is we're letting the sellers, again, basically dig their own grave there. And then once we see that's 1, 2, everybody's short, all those stop losses are sitting right above that high. I can hit them. Now, remember, these deep pullbacks like this, they oftentimes will spike up and you can grab another follow-up trade off of that channel, right? So again, it's kind of a failure into a pullback combination on the way back up to retest the high. We see a lot of these types of combination setups, right? A lot of times you'll see these failures and they'll quickly pull back right afterwards. We see a lot of those, right, in our trade room. And in fact, I cover a lot of them. I show you guys lots of examples of those in that free course that's linked up in the upper right-hand corner. So make sure you grab that free trading course to see more examples of how we trade those failure into pullback combinations. So I think by now we've covered the downside of this pretty good here. Again, we may have to stay patient on this. It's a Friday tomorrow. If the gold goes sideways here, remember, the longer it goes sideways, the longer this thing goes sideways, the more of a magnet that range becomes. So if we're 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and this thing's still cruising sideways here, now it comes down to find those levels of support below the range, wait for that pull back, because at that point you're not going to have enough space down here to get short, right? And that range will have confirmed that we basically accept that higher price. Right? So if we do end up trading water here, get down to those areas of support below the range. I got them marked up here for us as we go. Look for those bears to come in and foolishly try to get short. Again, don't try to pick the bottom of it, right? Picking the bottom is always difficult. It'll look very convincing. It'll stop you out and then rip higher. That's why I don't do it that way, right? I just wait to get long as the market is ripping back up into that trading range. All right, guys, so will it go sideways? If it does, we're buying off the low. Will we get a nice juicy short off the high here? And then I guess we probably should also mention, what if we keep going higher? There is another level overhead, right? 1774. That's the next. That's another big level here overhead. So, all right, so how do we get short on, or how do we get long on this? If we keep going higher? If the market keeps going higher here, it's going to be probably a spike in channel. So it really all depends on how it goes higher. If it really sprints, if it really jumps up and goes higher, your job is pretty easy. Just mark up that high, mark up that low, and look for one of those traps, failure, pullback combinations, right? I've been talking about here, right? To buy off that low. If the market doesn't sprint, right? If it kind of grinds higher, you know what I mean? Kind of grinds higher here. Now this becomes a spike in channel. Okay, spike in channels are notorious for deep pullbacks late in the morning before we go back up to retest the high. Remember, spike in channels are one of those top 5 chart patterns. You want to learn this pattern. Okay, so if it just kind of grinds higher here, okay, again, that will confirm the move. It'll confirm these buyers want more. I don't want to chase after it as it goes higher. So look left, find the base of that channel, right where the channel runs to the spike, and then that's where you want to buy. And again, we're not just simply buying that pullback, right? We're waiting for the price to get down. We're waiting for those bears to get trapped. I'm looking for failures into pullback, into strength moves, right, as we run back higher. And again, I'll show you a lot more examples of setups we use in our trade room. I'll show you those triggers in the free course linked up in the upper right-hand corner. So if it does keep going higher, don't chase it. Again, if it really sprints, look for that 1, 2 go, right? Mark that high, mark that low. Buy that first test is always the best test, and we know where this market wants to go. The easier money, though, unless these buyers give us some fireworks here, the easier money will likely be to the short side here for tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, tomorrow's right around the corner, isn't it? Boy, Friday morning, I would love to see you there, right there with me. Come out and join us every morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. I'll put the membership links you guys need to come join me every day in the trade room. I'll put those below this video tonight on the trading blog. If you're on the blog at sidewaysmarkets.com, there'll be a big button for you below this video. If you're on the YouTube channel right now, grab the link in the description of the YouTube video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning as a brand new member. Don't be afraid to call the office. I am always here standing by to help out if you guys have any questions. We got live chat on the left, live chat on the right, and as always, you can always drop any questions in the comments section below. But that's it for me, guys. I'm out of here for now. Great week so far. Let's finish up with a bang tomorrow. Hope I'll see you tomorrow at the opening bell in the trade room. If not, come back and see us next week. We don't do these newsletters on Friday afternoons. If I don't see you tomorrow morning in the trade room, have a fantastic spring weekend, and I'll see you guys for a full week next week. That's it for me, guys. As always, my name is Joseph. Be well out there. Be nice to each other, will ya? And be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.